Hey everybody, welcome back from Classic Work. Today we're going to talk about one of the most universal pieces of equipment that you can own is a speed square. We'll talk about some of the simple things about a speed square. Its main purpose is to lay out lines very quickly and very efficiently and accurately. So the first thing, since it's a square, it's made to bump up to the edge of a workpiece and scribe a 90-degree line to one edge. Now another thing that you can do with the speed square is it has this long 45-degree leg on it, and it's the same process. You can bump it up to the edge of the workpiece and scribe a 45-degree line off this edge. Another cool thing that you can do with the speed square is it's got a built-in quarter-inch increments for ripping stock. You can pick one of those slots. Say if you wanted to cut 2 inches off of a board, you would get to the 2-inch slot and drag your pencil and the square down, and you'd have a 2-inch line from the outside of your board. Another great thing about the speed square is it's also a protractor. If you see all these numbers here on the side of the square, to use the protractor, what you have to do is on all squares they have what's known as it says pivot on the top side, and it's got a arrow pointing to the corner. To use it, you're going to pick a edge that you're going to bump it up to, and holding the square real firmly, you're going to pivot the square in any direction and hold it to wherever you want that line to be. Say if we wanted one 45 degrees, and I'm going to try to draw it parallel to this one. You'll read on this side of the protractor to 45 degrees and just put that mark right there on the edge of the line of the board, and then you'll scribe your line, and there's your 45 degrees. The great thing about the protractor is it can do any degree from 1 to 90. Another great thing about the square, and a lot of people don't know this unless you're a professional contractor, is what are all these numbers for. You got common up here, and then you have hip value right here. The common stands for your common rafter lengths on pitches of roofs, and the hip value stands for the hips and valleys that you have in a roof, and those rafters have to be cut a certain way. I'm going to teach you everything that I know about all the common. Okay, we got a little model here of a rafter, and for demonstration purposes, let's just say that the tail of the rafter down here, maybe a squirrel got into it and ate side of it off, and your fascia's falling down, and it just looks bad, and you need to patch this. So you need a small section of rafter here to scab back on the side, so you got something to mount your fascia to. So on this model here, if you do not know the pitch of the roof, which is you've got to know that to cut these, one really cool trick that you can do with the speed square is take you a speed square and a plumb bob and come up to the roof of your building and take the plumb bob and put it right there through the pivot that we used earlier for the protractor. Now make sure that your plumb bob is not hitting anything, and it's it's moving freely. It's kind of close quarters here. But what you want to do is come and look where your line is going through the protractor numbers here. Now from what I'm reading it's about 32. It's about 32 right on. Now from that, this is what we can do. Take a look at your square, and here's 32 right here. If you count the number of degrees from the center point, which is 45, to the 32, it'll give you your pitch of your roof. Check this out. You have 45 to 40 is 5, 10, and 32. So we have 10, 11, 12, 13 degrees. Okay? Come back here to the end of your square and count 13 degrees to find your pitch. So what you're going to do is, we're right here at 10, 11, 12, 13. Now, it's really hard to see because you don't have a board coming up through the side, but if you lay your square down, let's see if we can get a good look at this. If you lay your square down and go to 13 degrees, you notice that your common rafter is 3, and that's our pitch, is a 1 to 3 ratio. So now we know that, we can cut our rafter. Okay, now we can do our layout for our rafter. Now I've determined that we're going to come up 5 inches from the back here, from the tail, and mark a line. Take your speed square and extend that line about 1 inch. That way you can see it real clearly. Now to cut the seat cut, which in the previous rafter, that's what's set on the wall to keep the rafter from sliding off the roof and to give enough surface area to nail the rafter to the roof. We're going to cut what's known as the seat cut, or some people call it a bird's mouth. Alright, what you're going to do is take your square and put it right there on that line that we just did, and let me get over here so you can see. We're going to take the square and put it back to what we said our common was, which is 3. So you line the edge of the board right here, if you can see it in the middle, to that 3, and scribe you a line 1.5 inches, which is a 2x4, and put you a big old arrow there so you don't get confused. Then you're going to take your square, turn it over, and put that square right there on that line that you drew, and also, excuse me a second, and also to that 1.5 inch mark you made. And now you're going to put a 90-degree line from this bird's mouth seat. Just draw it all the way down the side. Okay, and that's the angle that you're going to cut for your bird's mouth. Now, up here on the ridge, you're going to do the exact same thing, except this time is you're going to take your square and put it on the other half of it and turn it to 3 on your common, and then scribe your line, which I've already done. Now, this way, you know that this line right here and the bird's mouth seat right here are parallel to each other, and that's critical whenever you're making these cuts, because the roof needs to be very straight. Alright, we're going to cut this and see how it fits. Okay, now we're going to check the fit that we just cut and see how close we are. Alright, don't get much better than that, folks. Pretty simple stuff to do. It's pretty amazing what you can do with basic tools and just a little bit of know-how. You can move mountains. Alright, y'all take care from Classic Work. See you next time.